Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Professor Virginia Garrett Cannon, and today I want to talk about how to use the Review Edit panes inside of a Microsoft Word document. Then I want to discuss how you can upload this document to your school's learning management system. At Tulsa Community College, we use Blackboard, but there's other learning management systems such as D2L, Monkey, and many others. The list goes on. However, the steps will generally be the same, so let's get started. The first thing that you want to do is you want to log into Blackboard and navigate to our course. This is a master shell course, meaning it's a course that I use to copy into other courses so that you won't see any student information. On the left-hand side of the screen, you want to click on Discussions, because that's where you need to upload and access papers for this assignment. Underneath the discussions, please scroll down to the first essay assignment, which is the Rhetorical Analysis, Rough Draft, and Peer Reviews. You will click there in that assignment. Then you want to create a thread. Please use your name and a title of your paper. I have permission to use another student's paper from a previous course, so I am going to type in his name here, and I'm just going to place title inside of that. Now, as a student, I would like for you to place any concerns that you would like for me and your fellow peer reviewers to look at while we're reading your paper. And I remember that Zach wanted people to look at whether or not his organization was well written. Then you have to scroll to where your paper is saved. So I am going to go Access. So here I'm going to Access by double-clicking, and you will see that it automatically places the attachment here, and it will show the name. And then I'm going to click Submit. So this is how you as a student would create a thread and upload your document. Now let's pretend that we have moved on to the peer review section and you need to go conduct your peer reviews online. Again, you would navigate your way back to the discussion board. You would go find the people that you're going to peer review. In this case, we only have the one document because it's the one that I uploaded. So you want to click on that thread. When the thread comes up, you are going to click on the blue hyperlink, and then you want to save it somewhere on your computer that you are going to remember that it is saved there. So for my purposes, I'm going to save it to my desktop. Now the paper has automatically downloaded, but before we go any further, I want to go shrink my screen size so that you'll be able to see the work that I'm doing with the paper. So click to open the paper. And once you open the paper, you want to click the Enable Editing button. The next thing that you want to do is you want to save the paper per the naming conventions that are listed on the syllabus, because now you are conducting a peer review. So File, Save As, save it where you want to save it. Remember, the naming conventions is your last name, space, followed by your first name, underscore, peer review for, and it would be the person's last name and then their first name, I'm going to leave the RARD on here because I know it's a student example and I want to be able to access it quickly. The next thing that you will want to do is you will want to go to View and make sure that the ruler is checked. So I'm going to uncheck the ruler, and as you will see, those little tick marks have gone away along the side of the page. I'm going to click it again, and now you can see the ruler. The reason that you want to see the ruler is because you want to know that they have 1-inch margins all the way around their paper, and that their paragraphs are properly indented, and that their works cited page is also properly formatted. Next thing you want to do is you want to go to Review, and you want to click on this Track Changes button. So once I click on it, it changes colors. It will not be the same color as the Microsoft Word document, so please make sure that is on. Next to that, go to the drop-down menu and click All Markup. So let's say you open the paper and it's on Simple Markup. You're not going to see the changes that have been made inside of the text. So if you click All Markup, you will see that there are some red boxes here. You will see that there are some words added, some words that are deleted from the text, and you will also see the comment balloon boxes that have already been provided by me when I did the peer review for Zach. Now that I have made sure that my ruler is on, my track changes is on, and that I am in all markup, I'm going to click Save before I lose any of my work. Now, I asked you for the purpose of this assignment to make sure that you download the Revise and Edit checklist. So if you will go to your classroom handouts and you will scroll down to the revision checklist. I have permission from the Writing Center at Northeastern State University in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma to use this handout in my classes. I love it because it is a comprehensive list of all the things that we should be looking for as reviewers. The bold lines are major points. The clear circles are the points that are supported within that overarching task. So you want to make sure that you follow these. Just check them off as you go, and you will have conducted a complete peer review. Also, I have provided you with some information regarding the difference between revising and proofreading. Please make sure that you have read this. As you will find throughout the document, I'm telling you that you are a reviewer, not an editor. And the difference between a reviewer and an editor is that a reviewer looks for big components, like are your paragraphs in the right order? Are your sentences in the right order? You mark 1 to 2 of the same mistakes, but you don't mark all of them. You'll leave comments on the text itself because it is the responsibility of the writer to make sure that they are doing their proofreading. So, peer editors are responsible for analyzing the text flow and offering feedback regarding the paper structure, the thesis, the validity of the evidence, and the citation usage. It is not the responsibility of the reviewer to provide an intensive proofreading service for the writer. So please keep that in mind. Now we are going to return back to Zach's paper. So now we're back at Zach's paper. The next thing, that you want to do while you're reviewing a paper is you want to check the MLA formatting. So please make sure that they have their page number and that their last name is there and that it's set to Times New Roman 12-point font. In this case, it is. Then you want to check that their spacing is correct. So highlight all of their name information, scroll up to the paragraph tab, click on it, and make sure that both of these numbers are set to 00, that it is set to double space, and that it is set to do not add extra space between paragraphs, and click OK. In this instance, Zach has already followed those steps, so nothing changes. You don't see any red marks or red boxes coming up. And Zach has his full name. However, he needs to correct my name. So I just highlighted the word instructor and then I started to type. And as I'm starting to type, those words will turn to red. This indicates to the student that this is a change that needs to be implemented. He has the course title ENGL 1213, and he has the date that the assignment was due. He has a title for his essay, so that is also going quite well for him. The next thing that you want to look at is whether or not the paragraphs are indented. You can do this by quickly skimming down the paper. I notice that the first paragraph is, the second paragraph is indented, third paragraph is indented, and I'm just continuing to look at the paragraphs. All the paragraphs are indented, and when I get to the last page, I want to make sure that he has the works cited page. He does have the works cited page. It is centered. It is in Times New Roman 12-point font. Both words are capitalized, which is good. And he has listed the text that he is analyzing for this assignment. So he is looking at Loeb and Morris's Heroes and Superheroes. He does need to make some corrections to his citation, which is why you see this red box here. So I could simply correct it, or I can highlight it and add a comment. So I'm going to highlight. I'm going to go up to the Review tab. I'm going to click New Comment. And as you see, it brings up a text box, and I'm going to say Correct Citation. Now, if you like, you can provide the citation model for your student, but it's not necessary. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first and last paragraph of the paper so that I can get a better understanding of what Zach is going to be talking about in his paper. So let's look at both the first and last paragraph. Persuasion is a talent that most people use on an everyday basis to convince someone their claim is true, whether it be an employee persuading their boss for a raise or a child convincing their mothers to buy them the newest toy. Persuasion is a talent that must be used correctly and efficiently to get a point across. And to do this, rhetoric is used. Rhetoric is defined as the use of words, pictures, videos, or almost anything else to persuade someone to believe in their claim. In the essay, Heroes and Superheroes, Jeff Loeb and Tom Morris use compelling rhetoric, such as providing substantial evidence to the reasoning and subclaims, addressing the continuum of opinion, and relating the argument to their audience to establish their claim that superheroes embody our deepest hopes and fears as well as our highest aspirations, and that they can help us deal with our worst nightmares. Now you will notice that in this paragraph I have made some changes, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. So we know which text he's analyzing. We know the points that he wants to address. Now we're going to go look at the last paragraph. Loeb and Morris displayed powerful rhetoric in their essay, Heroes and Superheroes. Through considerable evidence and reasoning, acknowledging the continuum of opinion, and associating their argument with their target audience, they successfully established their claim that superheroes embody our deepest hopes and fears, as well as our highest aspirations, and that they can help us deal with our worst nightmares. In an ironic way, by their own definition, the authors are also heroes. In writing this essay, they did what they felt was good and right, despite the struggle for those that opposed them. So in both paragraphs, we receive Zach's thesis statement. It is restated in different words in his conclusion, which is good. And we know what he will be discussing. So now we're going to scroll back up to the introduction. Now you will see that I let Zach know that he does not have noun and pronoun agreement. So if you look over here in this text box, it tells him that he does not have agreement and that he needs to check the rest of his essay. In order to do that, again, you just highlight what it is that you want to change, and then you click New Comment, and you can add a comment. say that you highlighted something you didn't want to do and you need the text box to go away. It's not a problem. You just right-click on that text box and click Delete Comment. Down below, he had ended with a quote, and I let him know that he is not to start or end a paragraph with a quote. That is bad form. So I offered him a suggestion on how he could end his paragraph. And since this is a rhetorical analysis and you are tasked with stating whether or not the authors have been effective or ineffective, and I had already read both the introduction and the conclusion, I know that he is arguing that they are effective. So the feedback that I provided him was, Loeb and Morris effectively persuade their audience towards their claim. Now, what I would do is I would take Zach's thesis and I would look for his subclaims in his paragraphs. And if you go up here, this would have been his three-part thesis. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to have a text box, and I'm going to state your three-part thesis statement. And you are using evidence, reasoning, subclaims, continuum of opinion, as your own subclaims for your argument. So now I know that as I'm looking over his paper, I need to look for evidence, reasoning, subclaims, and continuum of opinion, because that's how his paper should proceed. Let's see what he does. Before diving into their subclaims, Loeb and Morris explain their reasoning on the definition of what a superhero is. So, Zach lets us know that he's not discussing subclaims, he has to discuss the reasoning, but that the two of them are linked together. So this is a good topic sentence, and that's one of the things that you need to be looking for as a peer reviewer. Do they have topic sentences? So I could literally highlight it, and then I can identify it as topic sentence, and then I could say analyzing reasoning as your subclaim. Then I would continue to read the paragraph. I want to make sure that he has subject-verb agreement, pronoun-noun agreement, that he's using punctuation properly, that he has varied sentence structure. And I'm not going to use the entire video to walk through each and every sentence because I'm sure you would not want to watch a 45-minute review. I want to give enough information for you to understand what it is that you need to look for in a peer review, and I want to show you how to use the review functions within Microsoft Word, and finally how to upload the document back to the discussion board. Now, I am going to point out here that he does have an in-text citation. He does use his quotation marks, and he does use the parenthetical. Loeb and Morris are in the parenthetical along with the page number. The reason that the authors are in the parenthetical is because he does not state the author's names within the sentence. So this is proper use of in-text citation. I do mark where he does not remain in third person, and I highly encourage you as a peer reviewer that if you find a paper in which they do not remain in third person for this assignment, that you do change that for them. I clicked on R, and then I typed societies, and then I typed in the box for him to remain in third person. I marked where he had a grammatical error and told him how to correct it. I told him that the subordinator is joining two independent clauses and he needs a semicolon. Let's move on to the rest of the paragraph. I'm looking to see if he is using parenthetical citation when he has a quote. So here is a quote. He has used a signal phrase, the Oxford English Dictionary, so it does not have to be in the parenthetical. He has another mechanical error here related to not only but also, and so I provide him a link to study how to use not only and but also. He uses a transition combined with a topic sentence for his next paragraph. With a concrete definition of what superhero is, Loeb and Morris continue to support their original claim with further evidence. So if you remember, I told you to identify their thesis claim and to look at what their subclaims are for their own essay. So he's using evidence, reasoning, and subclaims. So he is still looking at reasoning. He was looking at reasoning and now he's moved into evidence. I correct several errors throughout this paragraph, and you can look at those errors for yourself. And let's see how he goes into his next paragraph. Along with providing evidence to support their subclaims, the authors also did something else that is essential to good rhetoric. So this is a transitional sentence into his next paragraph. Loeb and Morris address the other side of the continuum of opinion in their essay. Here is their topic sentence. This is one of his subclaims. Then he begins to analyze how they address the continuum of opinion. He uses quotes for that. He moves into his next paragraph where he's talking about the target audience. He uses evidence for it. I'm checking his citations. I'm checking for sentence clarity. And then he moves into his conclusion, which we already read that together. He does restate his thesis. And at the very end, he does have a lasting thought. So this is all good information that he's providing the reader. We've already talked about the fact that his works cited page is not correct. Now for you as the peer reviewer, you want to type below the works cited page a feedback sandwich. So I am going to use Zach's name. I'm going to say what he does well. You have a three-part thesis statement with your own subclaims. These subclaims are clearly discussed throughout your essay. However, you have not used three terms that are listed on the instruction sheet. I would encourage you to make sure that you use at least three terms from the instructions because it is part of your grade. So I stated something that he did well. I'm giving him constructive criticism, and now I'm going to state something else that he does well. You do have a smooth writer's voice. I enjoyed your essay. Now, if you'll notice, because we are on his works cited page, my paragraph has a hanging indent that is backwards. So I need to go up to the top and I need to fix that. And I just drag those arrows in the opposite direction. Then you can sign your name and then you want to click Save. Now that I have saved the document, I'm going to highlight what I just typed because I want to put that inside of the discussion board. So now I have to navigate back to the discussion board. I go down to the Rhetorical Analysis discussion board, and I go back to Zach's thread. I click on that thread. I click Reply. I browse for the document that I completed for the assignment. I'm copying and pasting my feedback sandwich into the text box because that is part of the requirements for a peer review. And then I am clicking Submit. So Zach created a thread. You downloaded his paper. You conducted a peer review. You clicked Reply to his thread. You uploaded your peer review and you click Submit. We could scroll out and you'll see that your reply is there. So this is how you download a Microsoft Word document from discussion board, how you review and edit the document, and how you upload the document back to the discussion board, because we conduct electronic submissions in my classroom. Now, if you have further questions about review and editing, please make sure to reference your in-class lecture, reference the instruction pages, and I will create a separate video where I will go more in depth about things to look at. However, I do want to make sure that I remind you to use the review and editing checklist. Read each one of those, make sure you mark it off that you have actually done that within your own peer review. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can go to our Blackboard and go to the Q&A discussion board, which is the very first discussion board, and create a thread. You can ask questions in class. You can comment on the YouTube channel. I hope that this review helps you, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Have a good day.